So welcome back to the Green Evangelist channel. Today we are taking a tour. We are on the road as we've been exploring how rapid urbanization is affecting our environment here in Kenya, and particularly in the Kiambu area. I thought it would be good for us to take this drive together because the article that I've worked on this week talks about how rapid and urbanization is unfolding in Kenya and across Africa. It's unfolding in a manner that's rather chaotic. It's also unfolding in a manner to suggest a crisis because it's ungoverned. A lot of it is way ahead of the ability of our governance institutions to manage that process of urbanization. So we'll take a tour from Nairobi. I'm in this part of Nairobi right now called Ngara. Ngara is on the edge of CBD Nairobi. So once you exit Ngara, you now start leaving CBD Nairobi, and we'll start heading to my hometown of Kanunga. And along the way, we'll make some stops to just illustrate just how rapid urbanization is taking shape, how it's unfolding. What features do we see? What has changed dramatically? And what does this tell us about where we're headed as a nation and as a continent? So come with me. We'll start in Gara and we'll make some stops along the way and see what we can observe and what it means for the journey of the Green Evangelist as we look to see how do we green urbanization in Africa. So as you exit Nairobi, this is the edge of CBD Nairobi. It's an area called Pangani, and it has also transformed massively. A lot of the huge buildings you see right there, those huge apartment complexes were not there 2-3 decades ago. Those are only buildings that have come up in the last 10 years. So this area is changing, Nairobi is changing. Nairobi itself is growing outward into Kiambu, and as we'll see along the way, Kiambu itself is also transforming. One of the things that is a feature of this transformation is the highway. And you can see the massive highways that have been built to accommodate the growing number of vehicles. But as much as we are building these highways, there's still traffic. We get more and more vehicles every day on the road. So this is a growing challenge for urbanization in Africa. And so now, here we are on Kiambu Road. This stage right here, where those matatus have stopped, is where I used to take public transport as a kid. I went to Muthaiga Primary School, which is to my right. And this area of Muthaiga is quite an affluent area. So what's interesting about it is that it hasn't changed much. Muthaiga has remained relatively the same, perhaps because there is wealthy people who live here and they don't want the congestion. Now entering the Karura Forest area. So Karura Forest is famous for Wangari Maathai, who was an environmentalist, an activist, and she's the first African woman to win the Nobel Peace Prize because of all the work that she did to save Karura Forest. She started the Green Belt movement, which has been very instrumental in supporting defending forests in Kenya. And at the pinnacle of that is the work that they've done with Karura Forest. So here, it's where a lot of the changes that have happened in the last 20-25 years have become more visible. The changes that's happened here in the last 25 years is the building of this Directorate of Criminal Investigations headquarters. This was not there 30 years ago. This is something that's been built in the last quarter century, and it was carved out of Karura Forest. So in the past, these kinds of developments happened. It happened despite the protests of people like Wangari Maathai. Wangari Maathai's work managed to slow down this kind of developments. Had it not been for Wangari Maathai, we would have many more of this kind of developments around here. So something else that's a sign of rapid urbanization on Kiambu Road is car dealerships. Kiambu Road has become one of the capitals of car dealerships around Nairobi. There is a lot of them on Ngong Road, but I think now there's probably more of them on Kiambu Road. I don't know why they choose Kiambu Road, but you can see this one is built right on the edge of Karura Forest. It's opposite the Karura Forest entrance. So yeah, we are now entering the Ridgeways area. And Ridgeways is also another place that used to be a very sleepy little town, if you can call it. It was just maybe a town center, if that. There was barely maybe one fuel station, one gas station, and then maybe just a few shops. But now there are so many businesses here. One, there is so many clubs and restaurants, so nightclubs and restaurants. There's a lot of the car dealerships, as you can see there. In this stretch alone, there's probably like 4 or so petrol stations that we'll see. There's all these shopping malls, these shopping centers. The concept of shopping malls has really taken off. So you find a cluster of shops that have come together under one roof in a shopping mall type of design. So this is a lot of where the changes that are coming with rapid urbanization become even more evident. Well, Kigwa used to be where the border of Nairobi and Kiambu is, and I believe it's still somewhere around here. It's not clearly marked. Some people say that the bypass is now the border, where on that side it's Nairobi and on this side it's Kiambu. And this area used to be a floodplain. So 20, 30 years ago, it wasn't as built up as it is now. You can tell now there's a lot of construction that has happened, but most of it used to be green. In fact, here where they're farming, this wasn't fenced off there, but you can see there's a slope. There's a slope from that end, and that slope goes through a depression. This whole area is a depression. So had it not been for human activity, this whole area would be a wetland. There's still remnants of the wetland on the other side of the road. I was there the other day and saw some the kind of bird species that you'd see in wetlands, just trying to survive on a very small patch of the swamp that is left. This used to be a floodplain, and in fact, last year, I think when it rained, when we received heavy rain, there was still a bit of flooding in this section of Kiambu Road. But you can tell that the landscape has changed a lot. There's still a few spots like this where it's not built up. They've cleared the coffee. It used to be coffee country as well. And now they're planting maize, just holding on to the land before they do the next big development. So this is the Ndegwa. And I remember the Ndegwa being a place of coffee. This whole stretch was a coffee estate on the left and on the right side of the road. This is Kiambu Road. You can tell there's still a lot of traffic even though it's Sunday. But there was just coffee on the left, coffee on the right. But look at it now. It's all been built up. It's been transformed into an urban zone. This is the true definition of rapid urbanization. Just look how massive those apartments are right there. They are called the green zone. So some huge apartments. I suspect they might be like more than 500 units right there. This is what is becoming of Kiambu. But this is Ndegwa. This is what happened to the zone that used to be purely a coffee growing area. It's now filled with apartment complexes, a few malls. There's a Quick Mart, there's a Naivas, and where there's a Naivas and a Quick Mart, those are big supermarkets. They'll be built where there's a mall. So yeah, I'm now at the edge of the Ndegwa. So this is an area called Mushrooms or Mushroom. Um, Mushroom is a neighborhood that's been established in the last 20 years. It's a pretty affluent neighborhood. There's very big houses built in that gated community. It's to the right as you go towards Kiambu. And then, yeah, you can tell this shopping mall has been built in the last 2 years. This did not exist. But the reason why I think this is also significant is look what we are building upon. You can tell there is a river that passes through here. So again, the topography of Kiambu is rivers, it's ridges and valleys. It's an area that was prime for agriculture since the colonial times. This river is barely hanging on to life, hanging on to its flow, because you can tell the construction has been done right to the river. So what they did is they came and they had to build these gabions. They build a wall so that they can build as close to the river as possible. Previously, this land was just like the land you see over there. So somebody bought it and said, you think this land is not that useful for real estate? I'm going to show you. So they invested so much to build those gabions. I hope it holds for a long time. Tell the edge of the Ndegwa, again, there's just a lot of construction on that side. You can see there's many apartments that have been built and that are continuing to be built. Usually, like that one, they started at the top of the slope, and then now they are working their way backwards. And I can assure you, they're gonna build to the very edge of the river. So I made a stop just after leaving the Ndegwa and the Mushroom area as I started entering Kiambu town and nearing Kist. And I came out here to reminisce, to enjoy some nostalgia, because this is what Kiambu Road used to be like 25, 30 years ago. Yeah, 25, 30 years ago, Kiambu Road was a lot of coffee. But now a lot of that is vanishing. And the amazing thing is the speed at which it's happening. For all these developments to happen within a period of about 20, 25 years, that's a lot of change. And what we are seeing is that the institutions that are supposed to be governing that change and to protect public good, to protect the environmental benefits of being in a place like Kiambu, have not been able to keep up. We have not improved our governance systems quickly enough to be able to ensure that we safeguard this. You can tell there's so much peace here. This is coffee. I think most of this coffee is still owned by the Kiambu Institute of Science and Technology, quite a bit of it. I know there's probably some of it that is in private hands, but my suspicion is that in about 20 years, none of this will be here. All this will be turned into a built-up environment. It might be turned into an estate like Edenville, which is back there. Edenville is one of the newer estates on Kiambu Road, built in the last 20 years, with more than 200 homes there. So we are we have a front row seat witnessing the transformation of our land, of our landscape. The question remains is, what kind of a future are we building? If urbanization is our future, are our urban areas going to be livable? I kind of like this, but I realize that we cannot hold on to this for long. My only hope is that the path that we take towards urbanization will be one that tries to retain as much of this and the benefits that come from having this kind of environment. So yeah, we are now entering Kiambu Town, and Kiambu Town has also experienced the same kind of explosive growth that we've seen along Kiambu Road. Kiambu Town is the administrative capital of Kiambu County. This is where the governor sits. This is where a lot of government services are headquartered within the county. So we drive right through Kiambu. It's still a very poorly planned town. There's this one main road that's been there since the colonials. And then the roads that connect different parts of the growing town of Kiambu have not been very well built, so it tends to be very, very congested. Again, a lot of the growth that you see here is with the apartment complexes. So the apartment complexes or the blocks that you're seeing here are the old style. They are the 2, 3, maybe 4, sometimes 5-story buildings that were being built in the 90s and in the early 2000s. And then in the 2015 onwards, I think we've seen more of the taller buildings that are being built with support from Chinese engineering. So yeah, this is just going through Kiambu town. The side on the left is old Kiambu. It's the stores area. It hasn't changed much. The side on the right is the Kiambu hospital. That hasn't changed much also. But you see a lot of changes on the second and third rows from the main road. There's some newer buildings here. The building that you're seeing there in front, right there, is Mapa House. That used to be the tallest building in Kiambu for the longest time. But that has now been overtaken by other newer buildings that have come up. So today is Sunday. This is as easily as you can get through Kiambu town. If you come here this same time on a weekday, it's gonna be a much slower drive because it's a very congested little town. We'll drive through Kiambu town, and Kiambu town is growing into Dumberi. So Dumberi is a small town. It was mostly driven by agriculture. That area is very well known for dairy farming, also for coffee farming. There's also some tea farming that's happening beyond Dumberi town. But there were all these cooperatives that were headquartered in Dumberi. It was a trading center. It's where the cooperatives were operating from, and also where all the agricultural supply shops were. Now, Dumberi is also exploding, and it's exploding coming towards Kiambu, and Kiambu is expanding going towards Dumberi. I feel right now you cannot even tell where the border lies between Dumberi and Kiambu. It's almost like they become connected. Yeah, so we are now entering Dumberi town, or at least the center of Dumberi town. So this is what used to be a small agricultural trading center, but now it's also experiencing the same rapid urbanization that has transformed Kiambu Road. It's almost like that wave of urbanization is making its way from Nairobi, and it pushes out through all the places that we've passed to get to Dumberi. Now, Dumberi is one way you can connect to go to Kanunga, but it's also a way to go towards Githongori, and also a way to go towards Limuru, which is straight ahead. And when you drive past Dumberi, maybe you go a kilometer or two, you will see a lot of coffee plantations, and then you start to run into the tea estates because the elevation, the altitude increases as you drive down this stretch. So Kiambu is kind of divided into valleys and ridges. So the main street of Kiambu is to our right, and then there's this stretch of Kiambu that's lower Kiambu. And now we are branching off to go towards Kanunga. So yeah, we are now leaving Kiambu town and entering Gego. So this is also another area that has the potential to explode into another Rwaka. We are seeing a lot of apartment buildings coming up, and these were small towns. These were what they called villages in the past. You can tell there's quite a bit of development, maybe not as much as Kiambu Road, the Ndegwa, but you're gonna see now apartments like the one that you see on the left. Plenty of those coming up. There's another one on the right. And many of these are built without any zoning considerations. So it's not like Ngego is seen as an upcoming town and the urban planners have seen that we need to have a commercial or like a shopping center and then have different neighborhoods. No, it's just a free for all. If you have a piece of land and you want to set up an apartment complex, you do it. A lot of people are setting up these small mini malls that are made up of shipping containers. That's become a very common thing. So yeah, you can see some apartments. There's a Creek Apartments over there. There's all these apartments that are on either side of the road. Again, it's all these apartments have been built in the last 10 years, I would say, in the last 10, 15 years, because a lot of the construction boom that we are seeing in a place like Ngego is fairly new. So this is what a village turned into a town looks like in the context of rapid urbanization in Africa. We are now starting to leave the Ngego area, and we are from Ngego. The next small town will be Torito. We are now entering Torito. Torito again was a village. So you'd hear of Torito village, of Ngego village, of Kanunga village. And most of these villages had a school. They still have a school. So there's the primary school and then there's a secondary school. So Torito is the gateway to Loreto High School, to Riera High School. There was a missionary center here called Loreto, a Catholic missionary center. But Torito, again, is also a village that's turning into an urban environment. So you see a lot of apartments being built, maybe not so much along the road here. A lot of these shops are old shops. These are shops from the 1990s, the 1980s. So it's interesting as you approach Kanunga, there's these reminders, there's these pockets that seem to be stuck in time. Shops that were built in the 1980s that are still operating and that, make you think that you're still in that village environment, even though the area around is changing a lot. So we are now leaving Torito. We are starting to get into Kanunga. Kanunga is now where I grew up. My home is near Kanunga High School. And Kanunga is also changing a lot. We are seeing apartment buildings coming up. And usually they'll start with the apartment buildings and then there'll be a small mall. There'll be a petrol station that will be built. And before you know it, the whole place has changed into an urbanized center. Right now, I think Kanunga is still holding on to its country feel. There is still quite a bit of small-scale farming that is happening here, but that's on the decline. So I do enjoy living in Kanunga because Kanunga is it's quiet. It doesn't have the craziness of the concrete jungle that is Nairobi. And we don't have as many apartment complexes, so it's not as congested at this point. I just hope that in the years to come, as development starts to creep into these parts, that it will be better managed, it will be more controlled, and there'll be more order to it. So this is the area of Kanunga. This is Kanunga High School. It's a famous school that I think it was started by the missionaries. Recently, they started referring to it as St. John School, Kanunga, but for the longest time, it was known as Kanunga High School. And this area just past Kanunga High School is, again, a reminder of what is happening, the transformation, the rapid transformation that is happening to our peri-urban areas. You can tell there's a huge apartment building on the left. There's many more that are coming up on the right as well. There's also one that's here on the left as well. I can count at least 4 or 5 apartment complexes that are being built in Kanunga. This was unthinkable before. We had small shopping center and mostly homesteads where people did a bit of farming. Living in apartments was not a thing in Kanunga 20 years ago. And this is a sleepy Kanunga town. This is the sleepy town of Kanunga. It's still caught in time. It doesn't seem to grow even as the area around it is growing. But I have a feeling that that is not going to last very, very long. So this marks the end of our tour from Nairobi to Kanunga. It gives us a glimpse into how rapid urbanization is unfolding in Africa, how it's unfolding in Kiambu. And this is an indication of what we then have to plan around, what we then have to help build the capacity and improve our governance systems so that they can design a more sustainable urban future for our people. For now, we seem to be, the forces of urbanization seem to be in the driver's seat. We don't seem to be in control of the way urbanization is shaping our landscape. I think we're going to need to do better. We're going to need to improve ecological governance. That requires setting up systems, setting up institutions, especially because we already have laws. We have laws that are at the national level that need to be domesticated to the county level and even to the municipal level. And then we need to be able to enforce those laws. We need to be able to put up incentives and to put up systems that drive people towards sustainable development. We need zoning. We need to reserve certain areas for green space. We need to reserve certain areas for agricultural land. And then we need to know, where are we going to put up our industries? Where are we going to put up our schools so that our kids are safe? There's a lot of work to do. Right now, the message of the Green Evangelist is that rapid urbanization is happening too fast. It's happening at a much faster pace than what we are able to manage. So we need to recognize that, because that has created an ecological crisis, an environmental crisis. And we need to manage the environmental crisis. And the way we do that is by studying the patterns of environmental degradation that is happening. So for now, the Green Evangelist work continues. We'll continue to lobby. We'll continue to advocate for engagement of various stakeholders as we look to green urbanization in Africa.